Hey friend, welcome to the Pursuit of Freedom series. I'm so excited to start this journey with you because this video series is something truly special. It was created as an extension of the Pursuit of Freedom podcast and the workbooks, working together as a complete guide to help you step into healing, reclaim your identity, and break free from the patterns that have been holding you back in life. Each video in this series is designed to walk hand in hand with the podcast episodes and the workbook lessons, allowing you to not just listen and reflect, but to take real actionable steps in your journey towards freedom. This series is meant to be a space of encouragement, honesty, and practical wisdom, where we can dig deep into those topics in a way that makes it feel relatable, supportive, and faith-filled. If you've ever felt like you've been stuck in the cycles that don't serve you, whether that's people-pleasing, fear, self-doubt, or just feeling like you have to be everything for everyone, then take a deep breath because this space is for you. My heart in this series is to walk alongside you as we untangle these struggles together. I want to help you break free from the patterns that have kept you small and step into the freedom that you were made for, and to remind you that you are worthy, not just because of what you do, but simply because of who you are. You were never meant to shrink yourself or mold yourself into someone else's expectations just to feel accepted. You were created with purpose, with value, and with a voice that deserves to be heard. And in this journey, we are going to peel back the layers of old habits and beliefs that have kept you stuck so that you can step into the fullness of who you truly are. This is about reclaiming yourself, embracing your worth, and finally realizing that you don't have to earn love, but that it's already yours. I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed by the pressure to constantly show up for others while still pushing your needs aside. It can feel exhausting, frustrating, and even a little bit lonely, like no one really sees the weight that you are carrying every single day. But friend, you are not alone, and you don't have to keep living this way. Here, we are going to talk about how to break those cycles, set yourself free, and learn to embrace who you truly are, not just for others, but for yourself. So let's dive in together, because healing is a process, freedom is a choice, and transformation happens one step at a time. So I just want to take a moment and I want to say I'm so glad that you're here. Truly, it means so much that you're taking this step towards your healing, towards freedom, and towards reclaiming yourself. I know that showing up can sometimes feel like the hardest part, and I want you to know that this space is safe for you. You don't have to have it all figured out, and you don't have to have all of the answers. All that matters is that you're here with me today, and that you're willing to take that first step. And that in itself is something to be so proud of. So take a deep breath and settle in, and let's walk through this together, one step at a time. If you've ever found yourself saying yes when you really wanted to say no, or if you've ever felt guilty for prioritizing your own needs, or if you've ever struggled with feeling like your worth is wrapped up in what you do for others, then you're not alone, and you're in the right place. Today, we're talking about people-pleasing and self-abandonment, and what it looks like, why it might happen, and how to break free from it. These patterns often begin so subtly that we don't even realize that they're taking over our lives. And maybe it started when you were young, feeling like love had to be earned, or maybe somewhere along the way, you just became the person that everyone else relied on, even when it cost you your own peace. Whatever the case, people-pleasing can be exhausting, leaving you drained, resentful, and unsure of who you are outside of what you do for other people. But here's the truth. Real freedom begins when we stop chasing validation from others and we start reclaiming ourselves, our identity, our needs, and our God-given worth. This journey isn't about pushing people away, it's about learning how to show up for yourself with the same love and dedication that you so freely give to other people. So I want you to think about a time when you did something, not because you wanted to, but because you felt like you had to. Maybe you were afraid of disappointing someone. Maybe you thought saying no would make you seem unkind. Or maybe you feared the thought of rejection and that deep aching feeling of feeling unloved or left out. And that's what we are here to unravel today. The belief that our worth is somehow tied to our usefulness. The pressure to keep everyone else happy at the expense of our own well-being. And the cycle that keeps us stuck, exhausted, and feeling like we are never enough. And I don't just mean physically exhausted, I mean emotionally and mentally and spiritually drained. It's the kind of tiredness that sleep just doesn't seem to fix. It's the kind of exhaustion that seeps into your bones, and it makes it hard to think clearly, to feel joy, to even recognize yourself in the mirror. It's the kind of exhaustion that makes simple decisions feel overwhelming, and it causes the things that once brought you happiness to feel dull and distant. And it's the weight of carrying so much for so long that you don't even realize just how heavy it is until you pause and ask yourself, when was the last time that I truly felt peace? When was the last time that I did something just for me, without guilt and without hesitation? That kind of exhaustion isn't just about being tired. It's about being truly disconnected from yourself and from God. And friend, if that's where you find yourself right now, I want you to know that you're not broken and you're not beyond healing. There is hope and there is a way forward, and we're going to walk through this together. You're not alone. For most of my life, I felt like I had to be the one that had to keep everything together. I was the one who was always available to everyone for everything. The one who carried everyone else's burdens without even thinking twice about it. I thought that I was being a good person, a caring friend, and a reliable family member. I thought if I could make everyone else around me happy, then maybe, just maybe, I would finally feel loved and accepted in return. But the truth was, I was running on empty and I didn't even realize it. I can't tell you how many times I have said yes when I really wanted to say no. How many times I put someone else's needs ahead of my own, and thinking that it was the right thing to do. But deep down, every time I abandoned myself for the sake of someone else's happiness, I was just reinforcing the lie that my worth was only found in what I could do for other people. I was living my life for everyone else and completely forgetting to live it for myself. There were moments when I would lay awake at night completely drained, replaying every conversation in my head that I had agreed to things that I really didn't have the energy for. I would tell myself that the next time I happened, I would say no, and that I would finally stand my ground. But when the next time would come around, the fear of disappointing someone, or of being seen as selfish, or feeling like I wasn't enough would take over, and I would commit to it all over again. And it was just a vicious cycle, and I didn't really know how to escape it. I thought it was who I was. I thought it was my personality. And it took me years to understand that people-pleasing wasn't just about wanting to be kind or helpful. It was about being a deeper fear of being rejected and a misplaced belief that love somehow had to be earned. I was so afraid that if I stopped saying yes, people would stop loving me. And the truth is, the people who truly love you, they're not going to require you to abandon yourself to keep them happy or to keep them in your life. Learning to say no and to prioritize myself and to trust that my worth was not dependent on what I could do for other people was one of the hardest but the most freeing things that I have ever done in my healing journey. And friend, if you're stuck in this cycle, I want you to know you can break free too. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom that I realized something in my life had to change. I was exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually, and it was starting to take a toll on my physical body. I had given so much of myself away, and there was absolutely nothing left. It wasn't just that I was tired, it was that I felt hollow, like I had slowly erased myself in the process of showing up for everyone else in my life. And in that moment, I heard God begin to whisper to my heart, "You were never meant to carry all of this." Those words stopped me in my tracks because deep down, I had always believed that my value was not how much I could give or how much I could help or how much I could carry, but slowly along the way, I just started to believe those lies. And with that whisper and that truth, it made me realize that I had been left living under a weight that I was never meant to bear. And that was the moment when I decided I wanted to start living differently. I had to start choosing myself, not in a selfish way, but in a way that would honor the person that God actually created me to be and stop abandoning myself in the process. I had to stop seeing self-care as an indulgence and start recognizing it as a necessity. I had to stop pouring from an empty cup and start learning what it meant to take care of myself first. And the hardest part was that I had to believe that taking care of myself didn't mean that I was less worthy of love, but instead it would make me stronger and it would make me healthier, and in time it would then make me be able to truly love others from a place of true wholeness. And that was when everything actually started to change for me. But let's talk about codependency for a little bit, because this is also a big piece of the puzzle. People-pleasing and codependency often go hand in hand. It's not just about saying yes too much or being afraid to say no. It's really about feeling truly responsible for people's emotions, their happiness, and their overall well-being. And for the longest time, I thought that if I loved someone and I saw them struggling, it was my job to fix it. And if they were hurting, I had to make it better. And if they were unhappy, I needed to be the one that would change it. And the truth is, I wasn't just trying to help them, I was actually trying to control them. I was trying to make sure that the people around me were okay so that I could feel okay. Because you see, that's what codependency does. It ties your emotional state to the emotional state of other people. So if they're struggling, I can't relax. If they're unhappy, I feel anxious. If they're angry, I have now absorbed that anger as my own. It keeps me in a constant cycle of scanning everyone around me and always adjusting myself based off of their moods and what they're feeling and what they're experiencing in their life. And it would take away all of my peace. I would twist myself into someone that I wasn't, just to make sure that no one else would be upset. I would try and anticipate all of the problems that someone else might face or that they might experience in their life and try to help them fix it or prevent it so that nothing would ever cause them any pain or discomfort. And it really wasn't ever mine to fix. And the worst part was, I had started to believe this is what love was. I thought that being endlessly available to people, being the one who carried all of the emotional burdens of others, and especially for those that I loved, I thought that was what made me valuable. But in reality, I was actually disappearing in the process. I was losing myself piece by piece in the process of trying to manage everybody else and all of their emotions. I was living in a constant state of hypervigilance, scanning the emotions of the people around me and then trying to adjust myself accordingly, and then just trying to keep the peace wherever I went. Every conversation and every interaction became a puzzle that I felt like I needed to try and solve, ensuring that I didn't upset anyone and that I never would let anyone down. And honestly, I became so attuned to the moods of the people around me that I could sense the slightest shift in their tone, the slightest change in their body language, and I would immediately start strategizing. What should I do? What's wrong? And how can I fix it? If it was my responsibility or not, it would change everything in me and I would focus and hyperfixate on what needed to be done. I carried this weight constantly, believing that if I could just keep everything balanced and I could keep everyone else happy, then maybe I would finally feel safe and secure. But in the process, I just kept losing more and more of myself. I stopped asking myself what I wanted, what I needed, or even what I felt. My own emotions started to become secondary and something just to push aside because someone else's was always more important than mine. Someone else was always more important. They always had more urgent needs and I needed to tend to them first. And the truth is, Friend, that is not how we're supposed to live. That is not how God has called us to live. We are not supposed to carry the emotional burdens of other people or to be the sole provider for their peace while we're sacrificing our own. You know whose job that is? That's actually God's job. And Jesus took all of that away so that we don't have to do that. We don't have to carry that weight. It's not our job. It's not our responsibility. And so when we finally allow ourselves to step back and to release the weight that we really were never meant to carry in the beginning, it really comes down to surrendering to the truth that we are enough as we are, and without constantly having to try to prove our worth through what we do for other people. And healing from codependency starts with recognizing that you are only responsible for yourself. You are only responsible for your choices, for your emotions, and for your reactions. You are not responsible for the emotions of everyone else around you. It's about shifting your mindset from believing that you are everyone else's caretaker and being the caretaker of all of their emotions and all of their reactions to learning how to care for your own heart first and how to care for yourself first. And for so long, I believed that love meant carrying other people's pain, taking on their struggles, and making their happiness my personal responsibility. But the truth is, love is not about self-sacrifice to the point of self-destruction. You can love people deeply without having to carry the weight of their life. And you can be there for them, and you can encourage them, and you can pray for them without taking on the burden of fixing all of their problems. And when you do, hopefully you're going to start to experience the kind of freedom that allows you to truly live your life. You begin to see that your worth is not just measured by how much you can do for other people or how much you can carry, but it's truly you being you and who God created you to be. Nothing more. You don't have to show off how strong you are or how much you can carry or how many problems you can fix. It's just you being you. You start to create space in your life for your own peace, for your own joy, and for things that nourish you, rather than things that constantly drain you. And in that space, you'll find that you can still love and care for other people, but now you can do it from a place of strength rather than being constantly depleted and always running on empty. And there is something truly incredibly powerful about realizing that love will not require you to lose yourself in the process. When you begin to realize the expectation that you must fix, rescue, or manage all of the emotions of everyone around you, you're going to start to reclaim your energy and your peace. You start to see that your presence, your kindness, and your support are just enough without overextending yourself or overcommitting yourself. And this is where true, healthy love begins to grow, when it's not built on obligation, but it's built on mutual respect and understanding of each other. And when you embrace this truth, you allow others to then take responsibility for their own emotions, and you put the responsibility of their life back onto them. And while you step into a life of peace, fulfillment, and freedom in the process. And healing is a journey. I promise you, this does not happen overnight. So take the pressure off. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. It's okay. You're here. You're starting that journey. And I don't want you to do it alone, because growth, it does take time. And learning to show up for yourself and in new ways is a process in and of itself. It's not a one-time thing. It's not a one-time decision, but it's daily decisions. And the beautiful thing about this journey is that every small step forward counts. Every time that you choose yourself, every time that you set a boundary, and every time that you remind yourself that you are worthy just for who you are, not because of what you do for other people or all of the weight that you can carry for them, but just who you are and who God created you to be, you are actually rewiring your brain, and you are rewriting the story that you've told yourself, and maybe even other people or society has told you this is what love looks like. or this is what you deserve, or this is how you earn your worth. You start to rewrite all of that. You replace all of those lies, and you begin to let in the truth. You begin to let in God's love and His peace and His joy and His freedom, which will replace all of those lies. And that, my friend, is extremely powerful. So I want you to just take a moment and let that sink in. You are stepping into a new chapter, and you no longer have to try and prove your worth by how much you give or how much you can endure or carry for other people. This is a space where you can breathe, where you can grow, and where you can start to embrace the fullness of who you truly are, without guilt, without shame, and without the pressure to be everything to everyone else except yourself. This is a journey of learning to trust yourself and allowing yourself to receive love rather than constantly pouring yourself out to everyone else around you. It's about creating a life that nourishes you, where you are no longer running on empty, but instead you are filled with peace, with purpose, and with the freedom to be exactly who God created you to be. I know that breaking free from these patterns can feel overwhelming at times, but you don't have to do it alone. So that's why I have put together some resources to help take you along this journey. There's some tools here to help support you, encourage you, and to guide you towards deeper healing and lasting change. I have the Pursuit of Freedom podcast, which is a space where we can go beyond the surface and we really dive deep into the topics that matter most: healing, boundaries, faith, and learning how to reclaim your life for you. Each episode is filled with real conversations, personal stories, and my practical advice to help you walk into that life of freedom that you really do desire. And if you've ever felt like you've been stuck in cycles of self-doubt, fear, or feeling like you have to be everything to everyone, then I hope that this podcast would be a breath of fresh air for you. You're going to hear me talk about honest discussions and share my own encouragement, and I hope it feels like a warm hug for you, as well as giving you step-by-step guidance on how to let go of what no longer serves you, so that you can actually walk boldly and confidently in who you were meant to be and who you were created to be. I also have the Pursuit of Freedom workbook, which is designed to help you reflect on what you've learned and then help you put it into action. This workbook is going to guide you through personal exercises that will help you break free from people-pleasing, establish healthier patterns in your life, and just grow in your self-worth, your self-awareness, and identifying those limiting beliefs and behaviors that might be keeping you stuck in your life. It also is going to offer some journaling prompts and have some faith-based encouragement and practical steps to help you walk out that freedom that you desire. I also have the Pursuit of Purpose workbook, which is all about stepping into your God-given calling and living a life that is full of meaning and truly aligned with who you are and who God created you to be. It helps you identify your passions, clarify your purpose, and hopefully to remove the fears and doubts and limits that might be holding you back. Through guided exercises, biblical encouragement, and personal reflection prompts, this workbook is going to support you in discovering how to live a life filled with purpose, confidence, and joy. Remember, you're not alone in this, and you don't have to do this by yourself. And really, I just want to remind you that you are so much stronger than you think. You're way braver than you feel. And you are so much more capable than you even know. And your freedom, your pursuit of freedom starts today, right here, right now, and you're doing it. You've committed to it, and I'm so proud of you. So I want to close today's video with a prayer, and I really want to pray over you guys, and I want to invite God into your healing journey because, again, you're not in this alone. Yes, I want to provide these resources, but above all, God is your provider. He is your counselor. He is your therapist. He can bring you peace. He can bring you joy. He can bring you everything that your heart needs. So I want to pray to be able to invite Him into your own healing journey. So let me go ahead and pray for you guys. Heavenly Father, I come before you today with a heart full of gratitude for the one that is listening to this prayer and this video. Lord, you see them. You see the weight that they've carried, the exhaustion that they have experienced from always trying to be everything for everyone else. and the pressure to prove their worth through what they do, rather than just being who they are and who you created them to be. You see the moments that they've said yes when they desperately wanted to say no. You see the times that they've put others before themselves, not because they didn't care about their own needs, but because maybe they were afraid of disappointing, or afraid of rejection, or just afraid of feeling like they weren't enough. But Lord, today I pray that you would break those chains, and that you would lift the burden of people-pleasing off of their shoulders and remind them that they were never meant to live for the approval of other people, and that their worth has never been tied to how much they can give, how much they can endure, or how well they can meet the expectations of those around them. That they are already enough simply because they are yours and you created them to be who they are. Father, I ask that you would bring healing to the parts of their heart that have been shaped by this belief that love must be earned. Lord, I pray that the places that they have been taught that they have to prove themselves to then be accepted, Lord, I pray that you would heal these wounds that have made them feel like their value is conditional. Lord, I pray that you would replace those lies with your truth, and that you would remind them that they are deeply loved, they are fully seen, and they are completely cherished, but not because of what they do, but because of who they are, and that you love them just as they are. Jesus, I pray that you would give them the courage to start setting boundaries and to honor their own needs first, and to trust that saying no does not make them unkind, unworthy, or unlovable in any way. Lord, I pray that you would help them to release the guilt that comes with prioritizing themselves. Lord, I pray that you would help them to see that self-care is not selfish, but that it is a necessary, that they cannot pour from an empty cup, and that you have never called them to sacrifice themselves in order to be loved. God, I pray for freedom from the fear of rejection, freedom from the need to constantly prove themselves, and freedom from the belief that they have to be the fixer, the peacemaker, and the one that holds everything together for everyone else. Lord, I pray that you would remind them that this is not their job to carry everyone else's emotions, and it is not their responsibility to hold all of this for everyone else around them, and then to lose themselves in the process to try to make other people happy and to keep the peace. Lord, I pray that you would help them step into the truth that they are not responsible for how other people feel, but only for how they choose to show up in who they are. Lord, I ask that you would strengthen their voice, the voice that has been silenced for far too long. Lord, I pray that you would open their mouth and that you would show them how to speak. Lord, I pray that you would remind them that their needs matter, that their feelings matter, and that their desires matter, that they do not need to shrink themselves to be loved, and that the right people will love them for who they are, not what they do. And Lord, I pray that you would bring the right people into their life, people that would love them and accept them for who they truly are, Lord. And Jesus, I pray for restoration. I pray for restoration of their identity, their confidence, and their joy. I pray that as they begin to step into this newfound freedom, that they would feel lighter and more at peace, more connected to themselves, and more connected to you, Lord. Lord, I pray that they would learn to trust themselves again, and that they would begin to listen to their own voice and to follow the path that you have laid before them, rather than bending themselves to try and fit into a mold that was never meant for them. And Lord, I declare over them today that they are not responsible for keeping everyone else happy. They are allowed to say no without fear and without guilt. They are worthy of love, rest, and peace, and they do not have to earn it. Lord, I declare that they are stepping into a season of freedom where they no longer have to abandon themselves to be accepted or to be loved. And Lord, I declare that they are fully loved, fully seen, and fully known by you, God. Thank you, Lord, for the work that you are doing in their heart, and thank you for the courage that you are stirring within them to take up space, to use their voice, and to reclaim themselves in the process. I pray that as they continue to walk this journey, that they would be surrounded by your love, by your grace, and by the deep, unshakable peace that comes from knowing that they are already enough exactly as who they are. I bless them with clarity, with confidence, and with the courage to live authentically. And I pray all of this in the most powerful, freeing, and beautiful name of Jesus. Amen. Be blessed, y'all.